Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, no, you can't just steal dogs, is I think the point they're trying to make. Right, but when you stole that, you had like 30 dogs around you. And now Beeline's upset. And I don't know what to tell Beeline. Okay. Well, maybe we can broker a deal. I don't know. I think the bigger thing here is that we're in our final days of registration, obviously. So I guess more puppies is what I would go for. Yeah. Oh no. What time is it? 10:05. Oh my God, I'm live right now. Okay, I'm gonna call you back. All right. Thank you. I gotta look professional. I know. I gotta go. I know you want to keep talking. I gotta go. Okay. All right. Hi. Oh my God. Wait. This is all wrong. Okay. I'm so. It feels like a Monday. It feels like a real Monday right now. All right. Hi. I'm Charlie. We're doing our final GISH 101. Welcome. This is very professional. Nothing non-professional here. We've got it. Today we're going to be talking about some great, very important. This is probably the most important GISH 101 of all. So I hope you're ready to dig in, to put your seatbelts on, and to party, because we've got a lot of stuff to cover. We've been covering a lot of stuff with GISH 101, and we covered team building, covered merging, we covered a lot of different structures for teams, how teams can be achievable, how to recruit other players, so much. So if you haven't seen that, you should definitely go ahead and check out those previous videos. We're not going to cover it today because we have a lot to cover. Your brain on GISH, we're tools, app, yep, the app. Just keep going here. Yep, inviting friends. I hope you're doing it. We only have tomorrow's last day, so we got to do this. The Mitch system, archetypes. Maybe you've taken a quiz to find out which archetype you are. The most perfect circle I've ever drawn in my life. A GISH to build a dream on. Yes, that's the last one we covered. But let's get to the important stuff here, y'all. Let's do it. Hope everybody's having a good day. For my sake. Hunting your heart out. Hunting it out. It's in the heart, gish.com. Okay, we have a lot to cover. So I'm just gonna take off my jacket because we're getting business time here, getting real business time. This is where we really dig in and we talk about how the hunt actually works. So this is probably your last chance. This is the last GISH 101 before the hunt. So let's get to it. First, since registration is about to close, I would recommend your team maybe takes another look at the rules and the commandments. Do your last checks. I mean, there's going to be time to finish off your teams, which is what we covered last time, but you want to go over the important points, commandments, rules, and then we're going to submissions today, how to submit items or submissions for those items, and a lot more. So if you've ever wondered, how does the hunt work? You're new here. If you're not new here, if you can also just jump into the chat and help us, it's as a GISH veteran, it's part of your job to help other people become the best GISHers they could be. Okay, let's do this. All right, I'm just pulling up a couple of things here so we have enough time. All right, so opening ceremonies. That's right. We have an opening ceremonies Zoom at the same time as the list drop. That is at 7 a.m. Pacific, okay? 7 a.m. Pacific, we will be dropping the list, which we'll talk about in a moment what the list is, and there'll be a Zoom, which is Misha kicking us off here for the opening festivities. It's not a long opening ceremonies. We don't want to impede on your progress or your ability to hunt. So it's more of all of us coming together to kick this off and to share a couple of tidbits about what's expected over the next 7 to 8 days. That's at 7 a.m. Let's talk about Zooms first, and then we'll talk about the list. So Zooms. Some Zooms will have tasks, meaning they'll have challenges or something associated with it, which will be updated in the list. Links to all the Zooms will be on the list. You'll also be given invites. So you'll get a ton of emails with the invite code that's unique to just you for every single event. If you don't get that code, you can, or that link, I should say, you can always go to the list, okay? So this is what we'll be covering today. What happens during the hunt? So let's talk about the, so we talked about this and the list drop happens at the same time. Now let's talk about Zooms and lists. So a couple things about the Zoom. The task is typically given at the end of each Zoom, and then we'll be updating the list with that task as well. And you can watch the YouTube link or video link for that Zoom after the fact. All of that will be updated in the list, and then there will be an updates announcement as well. And we'll get to updates in just a moment. But continuing with Zooms, there is an ASL interpreter provided for each Zoom, as well as today we have a captioner too. Unless there's some technical difficulty or Zoom decides to update all of its APIs, which is a technical way of saying it just poops the bed. Unless that happens, there should be an interpreter and captioning for each Zoom. Let's see, the videos will be available eventually on the hunt list, but so that's why you want to be there. At least one team member should try to be at all these Zooms. We recommend it. You can watch it after the fact, but the more interactivity at the time, the better. If you're a for fun team, you know, and you just want to do a few items off the list, great. Come to every one of them. Have fun with us. There's going to be a lot of interactive fun. If you're a competitive team and you want to get that task as quickly as possible, you should probably send a team member. Multiple team members can join the Zooms. Tons of people can come, and so you should try to be there because we have a lot of fun in those. Some Zooms may be actual Zooms. Some of the video tasks will be YouTube streams. There are tasks on the list that are also just videos. So the live element to it is usually when there's an interactivity piece that we want to have everybody have fun with. So check that out. We will, again, provide links to the videos of the Zooms after the fact. So if you're competitive, you may want to come into the Zoom and get that task as soon as it's launched, but we do put up updates on that. All right, let's talk about the list, okay? Let's talk about the list, shall we? The list, the almighty list. Misha is currently working on iteration number 52 of the list. We start with hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of items. And that list morphs and changes and new ones come in. You submit something cool. There's a lot of like change and flux to the list, which is something we'll be talking about in just a moment about updates. Can you all see? You can all see this, right? You all see this? The list itself is a living, breathing beast. It's constantly fluxing, changing, let's say. There's a lot that changes with the list. You're going to want to check out updates. But to talk about the list for a moment, it is a concatenation, a compilation of challenges and puzzles and weirdness and impossibilities. And it is, when you see it, you might be overwhelmed. Chances are good that you'll feel overwhelmed. Breathe. That's the first step. When you see that list, you got to breathe. Because if you're not breathing, well, it's not good. You got to breathe. Even though your body does it automatically, you got to tell it, okay, breathe. I'm looking at the list. It's a little stressful. But just breathe and read it. Read through it. Look through all the ridiculousness. Look through all the fun stuff. And you'll see fun things on there that go, oh, hey, that looks awesome. I want to try that. Even the most experienced teams, I mean, they look at the list and they go, how, why, what, who? They use all of the words and they go, what? Even words that don't exist. And that's okay. That is totally okay. But after getting together to talk it through and they reread it and teams look at it and start to like massage it and go, okay, here we can do these right now. And oh, that looks fun. I want to try that. Just take it into small pieces and bracket it into ways that you feel comfortable about. In our last Zoom, we talked about team structure. There may be skills that you're better at that you may want to try out certain stuff. You want to talk with your team and sort of work through that sort of process. And again, the most experienced teams, they have to read it a few times. They have to like kind of process what they're looking at, and then they look at it and they go, okay, here's what we can do. Here's the solutions we're going to try to work on to try to work through this list. GISH is a metaphysical exercise in opening your heart, pushing your boundaries, getting more creative than you've ever been, thinking in lateral and new ways. It's creating pathways. It's creating wrinkles. You're getting wrinkly brain, which is awesome. That's what you want. It's really awesome. So look through it. List drop at 7 a.m. and don't panic if the servers go down. I'm doing that. Gishbot, we're all doing that on the other side. We're like, hold, and it does. Maybe we're gonna try this year to keep it up. We're throwing the kitchen sink to try to keep it afloat, but don't worry if it goes down, if the server crashes. It's okay. It's almost tradition. We will get to the list out to you somehow if that happens. But it's usually only for a few moments, and then it comes right back up. Check in the app, check on the website when all else fails. The list itself can be found when you log into your account. So log in and there's a hunt tab. When you click on that hunt tab, it will have the whole list. And we'll show you what a list looks like and how to submit things and upload stuff and all that in just a moment. But that's pretty much it. So come hell or problematic servers, we're going to get that list to you, and then check for updates, because the list can and will change throughout the course of GISH, even in the first few hours. So more on that in a moment. What more can I tell you about the list? The list it's a tricky thing to live in a world that is so variable in terms of the pandemic and in terms of where people live regionally. If you go to Canada, they've decided to let the downstairs neighbors back into the country. I mean, I don't know if I would. I think we're pretty great, but I don't know if I would let us back in. Maybe not. But Australia has a very narrow amount of space that you're allowed to leave your house. So each region is going through its own sort of era of this pandemic as vaccinations roll out and things like that. So do what you can on the list according to your local guidelines, according to what you feel comfortable with and how you feel safe. That's the biggest thing. But there will be lots to go over. Lots for you to do, lots for you to have fun with. It's going to be amazing. With this list that I'm looking through, and the things and the guests that we have lined up for the Zooms are incredible. I mean, people would pay thousands of dollars for some of these activities and some of these people to hear them speak. 25 bucks. And if you upgrade more, but then you're also doing more for charity. That's pretty cool. So let's talk about, let's talk about updates in just a moment. But before we leave the list and Zooms, let me just take up a couple of these things here. And I'll see if I can answer some questions. List updates, can you make them with timestamps rather than just the date? Multiple teammates in multiple time zones. We are never sure if we've seen an update before or if it has changed. That's a really good point. We will talk to our team and see what we can do to fix that. I totally understand. Updates will happen on the list, and they will also happen in the updates page, which is what I'm going to cover next. And we typically also announce when there are updates on our social media and our app. But check all that out, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But updates are, updates are important because there may be things that are added or changed or removed. I'll get into that in a second. Someone's asking about hot dog pants. I will not be answering questions about hot dog pants at this time. I don't even know her. The pants, I mean. Let's see. So someone asked, what if an item is removed from the list? Good question. When we remove items, which can happen for a number of reasons, well, let me take up this one thing first. Ghosts. If you're doing a collaborative team effort and somebody is not playing on your team, if you say like, hey, get the whole team together and do X, because we have such variability in team size, just make sure that you write in the comment or note somewhere in the comment section on the submission how many team members you have, or we can also look at your records and see, hey, they have 5 team members. They had all their team members in the picture. Points. So just be aware, if you have ghosts, you can just mark it, but we'll also be able to see in your account whether people have logged in or not. So it's kind of helpful. Yes. Yep. Can you have the team captain submit your projects if you still aren't sure how to? Kaylee asks. Kaylee, that is a great question. Yes, we covered in our last session team structure. Team structure meaning, is there one person in charge? Is it a group in charge? Is it a socialist government? Is it a democracy? Is it a republic? Is it a, I don't know. There's so many ways to operate. Every team operates differently in terms of structure. You can have one person do all the uploading and you guys just share the, you folks just share all the content, and then one person is doing it to ensure that it goes up. Some teams have each person upload, but it goes through a review process. They want to make sure it's as good or as exactly what they wanted out of the item. And some teams give sort of constructive feedback and like they work on it together. Some of them just upload as soon as they get them. And that's, all of those interpretations are equal. Rhiannon asks, given quarantine issues, will the items be mostly individually completable, or will we still need to be able to physically get together with other teammates? Because of the pandemic, meetups, which we've done in the past and past lists, are less likely in person. I will say, again, you should follow the guidelines of your area as to who you can see, touch, be near, distances, etc. We will have many items, in this pandemic world. Part of the creative exercise for us and for Misha has been, how do we create fun challenges that have a little bit of interpretation to them, given that everybody has a little bit of a different circumstance. So we're going to be asking you to interpret that based on what is available to you, based on what your comfort level is. And when we say, in the GISH Fest, for example, we had a task where we wanted people dancing in the most unexpected or weirdest place they could. So for you, that could mean dancing, festooning your bathroom shower with glow lights and aliens and Don Knotts. Or it could mean going out into a location that you're physically allowed to go to and creating a space there. So a lot of our collaborative efforts are going to be virtual, a lot of digital, because we want people to collaborate when it's required by an item, but we also don't want to put people at risk. So, so that isn't to say you can't go and meet people yourself if you choose to do that, but we want to make sure that you are first and foremost following the law, following the guidelines, staying safe, staying healthy, so we can GISH for decades to come. Let's see, roughly how many items on the list? Good question. It ranges. It's been in the, let's say, the 150s all the way up to 200 plus. It really depends. It depends on how we're feeling, how mischievous Misha is feeling, and a number of other factors. Okay. What else? Okay, we will be talking about submissions in just a moment, but we're going to cover all of this first, and then we'll get to submissions, because there's a lot of questions about submissions I'm seeing. Maggie Martin asks, does the captain usually hand out certain tasks to each team member? That is totally up to your team to decide how you're divvying up the tasks. You can claim items. We will go through that in a moment. But there's a lot of different systems by which people decide who is doing what. So we leave that up to you. What else here? Let's talk about updates, shall we? Updates. There are deletions, there are additions, there are clarifications and modifications and changes. Notification of updates will be posted on the website. They'll be in the list. We will put stuff in the bunker. We will post stuff on social media and in the app. Gish and Gishbot are putting the word out widely. But you should check the list periodically as much as you want to, because that is your best and first place that happens. So those changes happen first in the list, and then they're broadly published. Okay, but updates are important because let's say an update changes fundamentally, we want to make sure that you do the updated version, not the accidental version. We do typically award points on items that are submitted prior, but it's a bit contextual. So we try to do our best to let you know and try, obviously we have to vet things through legal sharks and angry badgers and stuff like that. And then those things get put into place and then we can get them out to you. But we do our best to make sure that people are doing safe things where possible. Let's see, what else? Lisa asks, is there an easy way to download the list for those who may be offline? What's the best method? In the future, can you add filters to the GISH app for final product, i.e. painting, whatever? That sounds great. That sounds like a lot of work. Here's what we do have. If you go into the list right now, you can sort it by a number of different filters and features, which we'll go over in just a moment. You can sort it by who's assigned and not assigned. You can sort it by your own tasks and things like that. The short answer is because the list changes so much, we don't put out the list usually. We've experimented with putting it out of the first iteration through a CSV. A lot of people use different techniques of downloading the list. If you go to the Gish bunker, they will tell you how they do that. I'm not going to share it because I don't want to give anyone an unfair advantage. If you search out and look for yourself, the different ways that people download the list and then turn it into something more usable in a different format, it's totally up to you. There's people use pivot tables and sheets and all sorts of stuff. That sounded like a word that I didn't mean it to sound like, but it's how it's spelled. But essentially, Lisa, there are a lot of ways to ingest that list and then organize it. We do have some filtration in the list, obviously, and we try to not put too many categories on it at the front, because we actually do want you to look at the list in its entirety rather than focusing on bits and pieces. Because those, let me tell you a story. I talked to a Gisher once and they said, thanks. And I was like, thanks for what? I don't do anything around here. I just sit here and get sweaty on Zooms. And they said, I didn't know that I had X ability in me until I accidentally tried it. A lot of people will go, I can do that. I can knit, I can paint, I can sing. They fall into these categories of what they know how to do, and then they don't try things they aren't good at. But looking over the list may inspire you to try something new, and we want that. What else? And our mod and Beeline, if you want to answer any of these Q&A questions as well and keep that going, I just want to make sure we get to people's questions as best we can because we have a lot more to cover, and I just want to be able to get to all of this. So, so updates are happening throughout. Things are happening. You're uploading submissions, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But then closing. When is it? Is it at the end of the hunt? No, that would be too easy. We do a closing a bit earlier, some hours before, and you will get a schedule for all the Zooms in the list for sure. We may be able to get it out earlier. It really depends on the guests themselves. Some guests are a little flighty. Who knew? Even some hosts. So closing, we will announce when that is, but it's typically not at the end of the hunt. It's sometime before, so as many people as we can join. Highly recommend going. We're going to give you ample time to finish your work, which you should upload items ahead of time. Don't procrastinate, please. The servers go, it's like, yay, yeah, we're uploading. And then suddenly the end happens and it's just chaos. But like chaos that we think may be counterproductive to you, because then you don't get the full beautiful chaos out of creating something. You then are like, oh, and then trying to upload last minute. Don't wait until the last minute to upload. But closing, we'll do. There's going to be something fun and new this time in closing, which we're really excited about. And then you'll have some time after to work on your items and stuff like that. There is no extension of the hunt, by the way. We do not extend the hunt. That is not happening. It is. I do not. We start at a time. We end at a time. We have to for a number of reasons. Some are legal. Some are we've just run out of. We just given everything we have. We don't have anything else left. That may be you. So we don't extend. It's in the rules. So check it out. What else? We've got closing. Good. So we have the closing. That's going to happen. That's a Zoom as well. So we have an opening Zoom and a closing Zoom. But we close the hunt itself later, which you can look in the rules. Upgrades. And then this is post-hunt, basically. I'm just going to go over these really quick just because there's been questions about those. Upgrades are, you'll have until the following Friday to upgrade if you wish to. Please know that that does help charity. And it gives people a little bit of time after the hunt and to bask in the glow and say, you know what, I do want a plushie. I do want classes. I do want the official hunt t-shirt. I do want the signed flag by Misha Kong. I do want the signed postcard. I want all the things, or any one a piece of those. So we give you until the Friday following the hunt to upgrade if you wish. And then this is what happens shortly after the hunt. Harsh and judging. Harsh stands for human analysis of really strange happenings. Harsh is the community review system. It helps us find some of the best work out there based on the community's votes. So you get to pick your top 5, your favorite things out of each item that you get emailed or when you look in your account. That also helps us because the production on the coffee table book, the annual prestigious coffee table book, starts happening after closing. So the wild part is this kicks off, and judging too. Judges pick out stuff for the coffee table book too in the process of their judging. But Harsh is really the community does the heavy lifting of finding and surfacing some of the best stuff we've ever seen. So that starts generally within a week after the hunt. And we highly recommend it. It's such an enjoyable process to look at people's work. It can be hard because you love so much of what people create, but it's really enjoyable because you get to see how other people interpreted items. We don't do collaboration on items in general and posting unless it's dictated by the list. If it's on the list and says post this to social media or collaborate with another team, you can do it. But we specifically restrict that so that you can create within the vacuum of your creativity. And then judging happens. Judging can take some weeks, sometimes months, depending on how contentious the judging gets. Judging also is, it takes a while because we have several judges who are not, but they are secret. They are anonymous to each other. It's a panel of experts and creatives and brilliant thinkers that you know their names. It's like a secret tribunal that does a multi-stage review of your work, and they have no knowledge of the other judges' results, and it's a multi-step process of culling and honing and looking, and it is very labor intensive. I will say that, because some years the margins are closer than others. Some items have bonus points, so those need to be reviewed and vetted. There's just a lot. It's a big amount of content to review too, if you think about how many items we have and how many submissions and how many teams and all that. So that happens. Gishporium will open sometime after we launch these things here. Gishporium will have the official hunt t-shirt as well, among other things that you will definitely want. We've seen a couple of things. I will tell you, shipping and manufacturing has taken a real hit. And every storefront I know, every store owner I know that creates product is struggling to get stuff in the door and to get it out on time. not for lack of trying. They're doing that, but we're going to have an amazing Gishporium, and we've already started purchasing products for that so that we can have them ready as quickly as possible. And then finally, after judging is done, runners up and winners. Yes. Woo! So after all of your hard work and effort, things will be announced. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. The runners up and the winners represent people who have gone the extra mile. Not just on one item or two, which is what we want you all to do, because you can decide how much pressure you want to put on yourself. You can decide how high a goal to set, but for you, it's really, you know, it's important that you get what you want out of the hunt. These teams have shown up to conquer the list and do as good a job as possible. All right, some questions regarding harshing. Let's see. Yeah, when harshing, I noticed differences in how teams complete some items. If an item is not specific, for example, 2020 item 254, the Boogie Woogie bugle screws of Company G, does it mean that it's open to drawings, sculptures, costumes, etc., or does it mean only in-person / costumes? Thank you, Tessa. This is a great question. We're going to talk about submissions in just a moment. I'm trying to truck through all this, but the short answer is harsh finds the best of the best. So in our submission guidelines and in the commandments, we want you to do as close to the item as possible. So if it says do blank, we want you to really do blank. We don't want you to like paint something that looks like blank or Photoshop, obviously. We want you to do the thing. We will note when we want you to use different artistic means to interpret an item. That being said, in harsh, when we see something that is totally off the wall, that may make it into the coffee table book because that person's having fun, that person is doing what they think is best for that item. Now, that being said, we want you to do the item. That's how judging is going to assess your items. So if you don't do the item as written and you instead paint it, fabricate it in some other way than actually doing the thing, then that can be an issue. We're going to talk about submissions though now, because I want to make sure you understand how to submit, what you're submitting, etc. Okay. Yeah. So Gishporium will only be open for a short time. It is, you got the coffee table book. You've got, and here's the other thing about Gishporium. We will talk about Gish points at some point, but the higher your Gish point tier, the higher the discount you get on the Gishporium. That's one of the perks. There's many perks, along with feeling smug and influencing people. You can also get some cool discounts on the Gishporium. Is there anything else? Mods, do you want to show some content, or people maybe just message me in our channel if you have anything you want me to cover that I haven't covered yet, because we've gone for almost 40 minutes and there's still so much left to do, but this is the deal. Submissions. Let me see here. Yeah, let's show some items, just get people a flavor. So this all sounds like, ooh, challenges, puzzles, what does it all mean? Oh. Well, let's show you a couple of things. We're gonna screen share from one of our mods here so that you can see. Okay. Yes, this is from 2018. Sustainable shine and sparkle. Amazing. Look how beautiful that is. How rad. I love it. So cool. We love looking at your stuff, by the way. Forest bathing. Forest bathing is for all ages and highly recommend it. You can bathe in an actual bathtub if you want to, or you can just take your shoes and socks off and just ground and then take it all in if it's close to you. That was another item. Yeah. Nice. Yep. These are, I think these are coats. We were delivering coats to people who needed them. One quick note about submissions regarding donations and helping charity organizations. We ask that you do not take pictures of people who are benefiting from your donations. We want to keep them safe. We want to make sure that their privacy and anonymity is intact. So, you know, taking a picture of yourself with different stuff outside of the organization or handing it off to someone who works at that organization. You know, we love you promoting the organizations themselves. So in the past, we did something where people stuffed unopened packs of socks in to look like they were super ripped. So we had people take, they look like the Incredibles, quite honestly. But we don't want you to take pictures of people benefiting from them because they're humans or animals. And unless it's an animal for adoption, for example, we want to keep people safe and private. Cool. All right, moving on. Moving on. Let's talk about submissions. So you have a list, you have challenges. In each of those, guess what? You're going to upload to us something. Cool. Can we put the link to submissions guidelines in the chat? Bookmark this page, read it again. Very important. Submissions guidelines. Submissions guidelines are very helpful. And we will probably be updating that page again before the hunt with some new updates as well. But you want to recheck the commandments. You want to, particularly about the completion guidelines, like video length, rules about posting on social media. Don't unless we say so, unless an item says so. Things like that. And don't leave it to the last minute. I really want to make this to not wait. Do not wait to upload your content, your stuff to us. Okay, very important. It is, servers have been crushed by people doing stuff at the last minute. Do it early and just keep plugging away. And you know what's cool about this too, is if you don't wait and you get stuff done, you're like, that is done. I don't need to do it again. I'm not gonna like overthink it. You'll get more stuff done. There was a study done once of people making vases. And one group was tasked with creating one perfect pot or vase. The other one was tasked with creating as many as they could, as best they could. And the interesting thing about that story is the group that created one perfect vase per person trying to make the best, oh my gosh, failed more. Potential for failure and giving up was much higher. The quality of the vases also wasn't that, I mean, it was great, but the group that created a volume of work, not trying to be perfect, ended up creating the most stunning vases out of those two cohorts. Something to think about. So definitely check that out. All right. Yeah, don't leave it. Yeah. So we will not clarify items if you ask for them. In the commandments, we specifically state that there's no correspondence. We cannot change anything based on what you need. We will change things as we see fit. There's a reason for this. There's a technical reason for this, but your submissions, what is there should be what is delivered. If so, clarifications will not be given. Just remember that. This is particularly true of riddles and puzzles because people want the answers to those and they don't understand it. I understand feeling that way. Make sure you check what type of item it is. So what type? Image, video, image or video, you want to make sure you upload the right one, that you know which one it is. And there are some free resources for photos, for example, and for if you need to change lighting and things like that. If we can put up gimp.org and Fire Alpaca, those are two free resources. We really do want you to try to create these items with as low cost as possible. You should be networking and borrowing, beg, borrow, maybe not steal, because that would be against the commandments, but temporarily loaned out. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So you want to make sure, though, that you know which type it is. Is it a photo or an image? Is it an image? Is it a video? Or is it image or video? That's the third one. Could be both. And by both, I mean one or the other. So you get to pick. And then video editing, reminder, closed captions are best. Make sure you're doing it. We're doing it. You can do it. If you don't know how, there are tons of resources. Just Google it. We recommend you put captions. You don't burn them in, closed caption it. You put it in after you upload a subtitle file, or you can type it in. Most platforms have that. So all of them should have it. And item interpretation and asking for clarification, do not. She doesn't even go here. You know what I mean? No clarification. Nope, not gonna happen. It's an edict from Misha. We follow it. That's what it is. Up to you. So another little note I wanted to say about videos. Videos, images and videos can and will be posted potentially on social media. You try to make, I would say video is an interesting one. Try to make them not blurry. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but let's not make them blurry and do our best with these. Not everybody is a filmmaker, and that's okay, but push your boundaries and keep working on your craft. We want you to upload the highest quality. Also, when you upload your content, we don't want, unless we ask for it, a screenshot or a collage, okay? We want high resolution imagery. So, 1200 pixels wide at least, high res, maybe 300 DPI for those of you who know those words. Images are best if you want to get into the book. I can't tell you how many amazing pieces of content and imagery have not made it into the book because they're too small. Upload the bigger file sizes that you can, the biggest you can, because then it's more, you have better chance and better luck of getting in the book, because we have a certain quality that we have to put in when we go to the publisher. Avoid collages unless they're asked for, like if it's a side-by-side or collage. A collage, for those who don't know, is, and this includes side-by-side or a series of your best shots or whatever. Just hit us with that one best shot. If you took the photography class with Krish Melke, he talked about really setting the stage and creating an experience within the frame and telling a story. You want to do your best work. So show us one thing, unless we ask for a collage or something like that. Okay, someone else. Okay, another quick point about this. Re-upload. So there's been questions about this. So I just want to nip it in the bud. If you upload a submission and then redo it, you can re-upload. It's not final until the hunt is over. So upload your stuff. Oh, I didn't mean to upload that one. I'm gonna upload or I did it again. Re-upload it. Do it again. Cool. And what else? So unless the item description in your submission says draw, paint, Photoshop, then you're expected to become or be present in the item, or someone is, okay? So those artistic interpretations, we spell them out. if an item is vague on purpose so that we get the most interpretation out of that item, there's no clarification. You just got to go with what you know, go with your gut, go with what your creative spirit is telling you. What else? Yep, and we're still also, just so you know, we're answering questions in the Q&A here. So our team is answering questions that are important questions. Yeah, and we will be putting this link up and whatnot on our YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. We have the first 2 GISH 101 seminars here. Okay. So if we say draw or paint the screws sitting on the steps of the Library of Alexandria reading a copy of the Adventurous Eaters Club, we would expect a, you know, an artistic representation of that task, right? But, you know, if we said the screw sitting on the steps of the library reading a copy of the Adventurous Eaters Club, we would hope to see you or your team members or somebody performing the task. Does that make sense? So we will say when we want an artistic version of that versus like an artistic real life you present version. If we don't say draw or paint, you should opt for the real life one. Cool, 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 cool. Let's see here. So anyway, there's a little bit of leeway on that one, but we're not going to explain it. You got to do it. Social media posts. If the task says to post something on social media, usually with a hashtag, please ensure you submit the actual image when you upload it, not the screenshot of the post. If you want your actual image to show up in the book, we need the actual image. If you, it usually will require in the comments that you put a link to the social media post in your submission. And we'll show that in a second. Actually, we're going to go through the submission guidelines for just a moment, really quickly too. Why don't we do that now? Actually, can we share the submissions guidelines page and just scroll through that? I'm going to just sort of walk through it a little bit. Or maybe I will actually. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, yes, I found it. Here we go. Man, these hot dog pants. I'm just going to say, for those of you who decide to buy them from stands, very comfortable. Don't even need underwear, quite honestly. All right, here we go. Can you see? Raise your hand if you can see the, yep, if you can see this submissions guidelines page. Excellent. So let's talk about this real quick. We're going to be continuing to update this, but here's essentially how it works. So you can see in this area right here, step 1, go to the hunt item list in the website or the app, locate an item that you want to submit. You can assign these things. You can see which ones are submitted and not submitted. You have some filtering here. And there's little icons that tell you what it is as well, whether it's an image, video, or image and video, or video. Yes, we will be sending these out. Anyway, you can see right here, there's a submit, right? And to upload an image, I want to submit an image. So this is image or video. You click on that, and then you select your file. And then you also have the ability to add a caption. And then you just checkbox both of these little things here, and you hit submit your submission, which is redundant, but awesome. And then let's talk about a video. So video, we ask you to create a YouTube channel or your team to do that, unless you already have one. And the cool thing about that is then it doesn't have to upload the same way. And you should make sure that you go to that. This is a little quick how-to up on YouTube as well, but there's probably better ways to do that. Title your video. Make sure it's unlisted when you upload it. If you don't mark it as unlisted, it's either public, which means other people can find it, or if it's private, judges can't see it and Harsh can't see it. So make sure it's unlisted. Can't recommend that enough. Heidi asked if there's any way to find out how your individual submissions fared in Harsh. No, you will know. The best way is to go check out the coffee table book. Yeah, so you're going to enter the URL, which is the link, copy the link address from YouTube, and you put it into that little box there, and then add comments. I mean, listen, I would add comments on your submissions where possible. It will help the judges understand context. It's also an opportunity to be entertaining if you want to, or do whatever you like, really. And then you put the link in there, and then you did it. The same thing, check those check boxes, and that's it. And there's a whole bunch of FAQs on here too. If we can put up that link again, that'd be great. Removing spotlight, okay. What else do we need to cover? Okay, so I wanna give you some steps. Let's do a Q&A as well. I'm gonna give you some steps for the hunt. Ready? Here's what you're gonna do. Step 1. Have fun. Step 2. I would eat something. Step 3. Speaking of that, maybe drink something. Stay hydrated. Step 4. You've eaten and you drink. Okay, have more fun. 5, maybe it's sleeping. I don't eat. That's what I would sleep, rest, eat, drink, have fun, sleep. Great. After sleep, have fun. Oh, you know what? I would also check in with your team. Check in. You should check. You should be constantly talking to your team throughout this process. That you should get close in the trenches, doing your thing, right? Maybe also, you know, you're checking in. Check the updates. After you check the updates. Oh, wait, no, have more fun. Yep. And this is a total cluster fun this year. Let me just tell you, it's going to be cluster fun. Anyway, check updates, new items, modified items, items removed. All right. If you have a ghost on your team, carry on, my friends. Carry on. Have fun. Just let's have fun. We need joy in our lives. We need to like find something that lights us up and hold dearly onto it, and then spread it around for everybody else to see. Okay. All right. Q&A. Q&A. Put some Q&A questions for anything I didn't cover. We have about 5-ish, 10 minutes. What do you got? You know what? In fact, people want me to write bigger. I'm going to send out copies of this. It's not even legible if I showed it to you. I have the handwriting of, I don't know, somebody who writes prescriptions. I had a teacher in school once tell me I have the handwriting of a serial killer. I don't know what they're talking about. They're no longer with us. Our points, I make assigned. Good question. So if you make something, do you get points individually? No, your team does. And hunt points and GISH points are two different things. There is an FAQ answer to these questions, but you get GISH points for participating, for building your teams. You get those are individual points. Hunt points as a team are given as a team. Are we gonna get our points for the last few minutes and fast before the big hunt? Yes. Some of those have already been given out. More will be given out soon. Regarding video submissions, can you use any music at all in your videos? Or are there any copyright restrictions we should be aware of? Just know that if you use a song, YouTube or the social media platforms may take it down because they have an automated system that does that. There are lots of free, they're called Creative Commons websites. Check around in the Gish bunker, people talk about free music resources. But if you absolutely need to use a song, it's up to you. Go with dog. Let's see, is it a caption? Okay, so the comments for the submission, is it a caption for the submission or a place to add nuance to your submission? Los dos. You can do either in the caption. If we ask for something in the caption, make sure you provide it, but it's a good place to add either context or, you know, add a little bit of nuance or add like a bit of a punchline on the things. You can, it's totally up to you. The judges see it and we get a real kick out of it. Or we get, you know, a little bit of backstory. It's not bad. Anything else? For tasks where people need to be present in a photo, for anyone who's uncomfortable showing their face, is it okay to have them looking away, faces obscured? Yes. Again, we want people comfortable. We want people enjoying themselves. Get creative with that. You know, how you blur or have them turned or have a mask, it's totally up to you. You don't have to show people. And in fact, you should get consent whenever you're taking photos of anybody, including yourself. You say, me, that's okay with me. Are you sure? Yes, me, it's okay. How do you add closed captions to your videos? Yes, we've provided resources to that. We will do it again, but you can also Google it. It's very easy on YouTube to add captions. There are also programs where you can type out the captions and just upload a file. But we'll probably add a resource in the submissions guidelines on that as well. That I said that. And yeah, so some of the other prestigious places. Prestige. Somebody asked me to write bigger. Prestige. See, it's not even legible when it's bigger. Okay. Prestige. So you've got the Hall of Fame, GISH Hall of Fame, the coffee table book. You've got running up, runner. You've got winner. You've got social media. You could be used in materials. I'm just going to keep writing until I fall off the cliff. Yep. How should I push myself to do an item even though I don't feel like it, but I know I can make that item? Okay, that was a ride. Believe in yourself. Fake it until you do. Do more than you thought you could. Try something new. All right. If there are more questions, feel free to talk to Gishbot in the bunker. You know, send us messages. You know, make sure that you stretch. Registration's almost done. I expect every one of you to invite at least 75,000 people and get them all registered to GISH. Because the more people that we have attacking this wall of challenges, including helping other people and getting creative and being artistic, maybe we can dial back on the hatred and on the othering and on the marginalizing and on people suffering. Dial back on that by providing more light and have this joy be fuel for your activism and your kindness and your own well-being. Okay. Thank you for coming. Let's do this. We're almost there. We only have this brief breath of time. What will you do with your one single precious life? Let's GISH.